I'm at 1441 Pizzeria and I have with me a delicious looking paneer tikka pizza. And now it's got me wondering, how did all these fresh ingredients reach the restaurant in the first place? Well, I have the woman responsible for this very tough task. Mansi Mahansaria of Just Deliveries. But her journey didn't just start off. She was actually an investment manager at a PE firm before she took this tough decision of starting her own business, or as her husband lightly calls her, a trucker. So let's find out what her entrepreneurial journey was like. Mansi, thank you so much for joining us on The Money Show. And I think I should kickstart your journey from where you kickstarted your journey, and that's your job. So why don't you first start off with what was your job like? I mean, you were an investment manager, you were working in the financial space. That does tend to give out a lot of moolah from our conversations, of course, with a lot of people in this space. So tell me a bit about your first job.
Yeah, so I was quite lucky. I graduated from FMS Delhi and I joined IDFC from campus, and I worked with their private equity division for 3-4 years. So we used to fund companies that were building India's infrastructure.
Oh, okay, interesting. So now you are the one who's building India's
absolutely.
infrastructure.
I think a lot of that inspiration came from there.
Okay, all right. I'll talk a little more about your inspiration, but tell me also this, that when it came to your job, was it a high pressure job? I mean, was that one of the reasons why you decided that, hey, maybe I should now think of doing something else, or was it like just your regular 9-to-5 job?
It was an intense job, but it's not the stress angle that prompted me, honestly. I think it was a couple of reasons back then. I wanted to spend more time with my child. I wanted to build something of my own, get my hands dirty. But most important, it was that I wanted freedom. And I wanted freedom of time. I love traveling. And I used to hate asking for leaves and being subject to leave approval to travel.
I hear you.
So I wanted to create a company which would function and which would generate money whether or not I'm in office.
Okay, so some more flexibility in time. Okay, so that is something that sort of inspired you to leave your job. But of course, it's not easy. I mean, being a business person is not for everybody. And I'm sure during that transition, you did have certain difficulties, did you?
Absolutely. I think the first 3 years were really tough. For any business, it can be very challenging to set up from scratch, and then further depends on the industry you're in. For me, I had to deal with drivers and delivery boys and vehicle breakdowns and delivery of cakes and perishable foods. It's quite challenging. Jobs can also be very stressful, but the variables are few, In a business, there are way too many variables, and you have to get used to rejections. You have to get used to deciding things every single day. But if you overcome the 1,000-day challenge, people say there's a 1,000-day challenge, stick in your business for 3 years, things start looking up. Today we are in the 4th year of Just Deliveries, and I'm enjoying my journey. I'm enjoying building my company bit by bit. So it was very challenging. I think there were so many days when I'd wake up and I'd say, why am I doing this? Why don't I just go back to a job? That temptation can be strong. But stick in there if you believe in what you're building, and you'll go places.
So tell me a bit about Just Deliveries now. I mean, like you said, 4th year, and you gave our audience a bit of a hint by saying that you make all these cake deliveries and flower deliveries, and that I think is a very tough job, because I know how I struggle to balance my one pastry when I am traveling in Mumbai roads. So tell us a bit about Just Deliveries.
So Just Deliveries, we did start out as a cake delivery service, but we quickly pivoted. So now we deliver inventory for restaurant chains, for fresh food companies like for 1441. They need their pizza dough to be got at 4 to 6 degrees. They need their fresh vegetables, their cheese to be carried at the right temperature. So we move food from their central kitchen to their outlets. And the whole idea was that you have a Swiggy, you have a Zomato that brings food from the restaurant to the customer. But there's no service that allows restaurant chains to move their inventory, especially the whole small and medium restaurant chain fresh food companies. So that was the inspiration behind Just Deliveries, and touch wood, it's doing really well, because we enable our food clients to grow faster because they have the entire backbone of logistics now in capable hands.
Okay. Financially, when you made the transition, and I think the biggest difficulty is that when you're in a job, you have that fixed monthly income and you don't have to worry about that, right? But of course, now that you're a business person, it's not necessary that your income levels are stable. They fluctuate a lot. So when it comes to your lifestyle, you have a child as well, his lifestyle, were there any drastic changes or cutbacks perhaps that you had to enforce to enable you to make this transition?
Yes. I think it's very important to be frugal in the initial years. I think even while someone's in a job and thinking of a business, it's important to start building up savings, to be able to invest in your business as you grow. And even once in business, the initial years, it takes a lot of time to really generate a good amount of cash or even to match salaries. I'm still not there, but the fact that you're building something, the fact that you can see the end result, right, keeps one going. So yes, we can't be trigger happy with our credit cards anymore, knowing there's a paycheck coming. But yes, if we are frugal, we can get there.
So what's the biggest challenge then? I mean, now that you're a businesswoman versus when you were, simply working on that paycheck, what's the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur that you're facing?
Honestly, I think the challenges are many in the initial years, Mobina. It's quite taxing, but each day becomes better. And if like I just approached Just Deliveries as taking one step at a time, as doing small projects bit by bit. So I wouldn't say that, I mean, today I wouldn't trade for anything. So I don't find any challenges currently, but the first few years were definitely challenging.
Did you have a role model maybe in your family or your friends, someone who inspired you or guided you? Did you have any guiding force like that while you were in your journey?
Yes, my dad used to always put it in our heads that we have to be job creators.
Okay.
We have to build something of our own. I was very lucky that he put that into my head. And I was very lucky to have a great first boss at IDFC Private Equity, Louis Miranda, who really inspired me. And now, of course, my mom's been my greatest supporter, and my husband, Harsh, my in-laws. I think for a woman to succeed in business, she needs family support. If your family is with you, there's no stopping you.
When you started your business, did you have any second thoughts? I mean, maybe 6 months into the business or 7 months into the business that, hey, maybe I should just stop what I'm doing because I'm not seeing success. And were you ever tempted to go back to your job?
All the time. Until last year. Until last year. I would actually ask my husband, I'd be like, listen, should I just go back to a job? What is this? Where am I going with this? But not anymore. So like I said, the 1,000-day challenge.
1,000-day challenge. Okay. So if I have to look at Just Deliveries in year one, when you started, I mean, I think a parameter would be how many restaurants perhaps that you were catering to, or how many vans would you have. That too would be a great parameter to judge it with, versus what it is now. How would you look at the growth, and where are you now versus what you were back in 2014, 2015?
So we started off with 2 small air-conditioned vans, and we have since then, I think, grown 5 times in revenue. We now have 15 trucks. Right from the smaller vans to the larger trucks. We were only in Mumbai, now we do intercity, Mumbai, Pune. So it's been a fabulous journey.
So where did you get your seed money from? I mean, purely was it when you were working? So how many years did you work for in a job?
I was working for about 6 years.
Okay, so 6 years I think is a good enough time to
Absolutely.
accumulate your savings.
Yes.
So did you start off your business purely on savings?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And since then, it's been surviving through the internal accruals of the profits.
Absolutely.
A word of advice for all the women out there, for all the men also out there. I mean, I know they too could use a little bit of advice, but they don't ask for it. But yeah, share some advice then for all the employees out there who want to be job creators, but of course have the same fears that how will that monthly income come in. What advice would you share with them?
So guys, if you are already in a job, it's like half the battle won, because you've already worked in big companies, you already know what professionalism is. And I think it's just two things. One is you have to be very passionate about some idea or some skill that you have, or you have to identify a clear need gap somewhere, that's not solved. So go after that, once you've identified that, once you know you're passionate about something and you want to commercialize it, please take the leap, and don't overthink. We tend to try and make perfect plans and try to do analysis and paralysis. Don't do that. Take the leap, because once you start swimming, your business will evolve, you will evolve, and you will keep changing, and you will get success.
Okay, all right. Have something to be passionate about and don't overthink it. Once you found your path, just set straight towards it. Mansi, you've given us a lot of lessons, so thank you so much, and we wish you all the very best for Just Deliveries.
Thanks, Mubina. Thank you so much.